Hi and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon and today I am back on the first Sunday of March to talk to you about last month, February's book haul. So as always, I'll be talking about some of the books that I was sent by publishers and some lovely books that I bought myself. February might have been a shorter month, but that didn't mean less books, although I was better at buying less. However, in an unusual turn of events, because I really don't do it that often, despite what people may imagine, I actually asked publishers for quite a few books last month. So very much looking forward to talking to you about all of those and everything in between. Now, we are going to do it a little bit differently because of that, but as always, we're going to start with books from publishers, and as always, we're going to talk about the books that I have shown on the channel before. With these ones, I've shown you them all in proof form, not the finished edition, so that's what I thought I would do now. Most of them look quite similar, but the first two do look very different, and I think this first one might be my favourite cover of 2025 so far. This is the finished edition of Sleeping Children by Anthony Passeron, which is translated by Frank Wynne from the French, and this is set during the AIDS crisis in the 1980s, but in rural France, and that really intrigues me because quite often with books centered around that time period, and indeed the AIDS epidemic specifically, you get a lot of books set in New York or you get them set in London. I don't think I've read many further afield than those two places, but also certainly not in, well, actually no, there's one exception to the rule, where I've recently read a book that was set in rural Wales called A Room Above the Shop by Anthony Chaplin. So something with Anthony's writing about this and ruralness at the moment. But it's something that I don't come across very often, but I'm really intrigued for, particularly with this one. So really looking forward to reading this one very soon. I did mean to read it last month, but did not get around to it. Same with, and I will be doing a February wrap up next Sunday. But the same is the case with Deviants, which was one that I really wanted to get to last month by Santanu Bhattacharya. This is set in rural India after a young man inherits his grandfather's land, and once he gets there, he meets another young man and things follow on from there. As well as looking at queerness and coming of age in India, it also looks at inheritance and land, and I think is going to be really interesting. Again, a rural book. Then we have a finished edition of Universality by Natasha Brown, which I actually read last year before hosting the Faber showcase up in the north in Manchester, and I thought this was fab. It's very much a book of two halves. The first in which this gold, what do you call them? Gold doubloon, gold bar doubloon. Honestly, what am I, a pirate? But yeah, that features very heavily in the first half, and then it switches, which I've seen some people be a bit flummoxed by. I actually quite liked the switch, and I love this cover. But yeah, I think Natasha Brown is brill. Then we have a finished edition of Greater Sins by Gabrielle Griffiths, which is about, I believe, a body being discovered in the wilds of Scotland, in 1915. Sorry, I had to let a cat in. Anyway, yeah, I'm really keen to get to more Scottish fiction and Scottish set stories, so I'm looking forward to heading to this in due course. Then we have, this is the third edition of this book, this is Rapture by Emily Maguire, and this is a book that I actually had imported from Australia just because Charlotte Wood loved it. I didn't know anything about it, and then more recently I actually decided to look up what it was about, and it's set in Rome, quite a long time ago, I believe, but it's about a daughter, an unmarried daughter of a priest who for some reason ends up going into a monastery and becoming John the Englishman, and then goes back to Rome where one person knows her true identity and is on the scene, and I think all of that, well, yeah, that's what it's all about. Really intrigued for this, and we'll give Mum this copy, I think, unless she's already been sent it. Actually, she might have. Then we have a finished copy of Murder at Girl's Nest by Jess Kidd, and speaking of Mum, she is going to be hosting Jess Kidd at a bookshop, Serenity Booksellers in Stockport in April. It's a gig I sadly couldn't do, but how great I can send Mum to do them when I can't. I'm gutted though, because I love Jess Kidd. She's one of my favourite writers, and this is the first in a new crime series that she's publishing, and just looks like it's going to be brilliant. Just that cover, I'm really into it. That's a seagull stealing some poison. So yeah, Nora Breen investigates, and I think Nora, oh my God, the end papers. I think Nora might be a former nun, I feel like, and again, that intrigues me. Then we have a finished copy of the book I think I only showed you last month, and that was the month before, in January's haul. This is Queen James by Gareth Russell, The Life and Loves of Britain's First King. I have recently been reading The Favourite by Lucy Hughes Hallett, or Hallett Hughes, which is, this is about King James I, and that is about his lover, George Villiers, and I think these are going to be great companion pieces. I was hoping Lucy's book was going to be on the Women's Prize for non-fiction longlist, because then that would nudge me to read it, but it isn't, so I'm putting that on hold, but I will be heading to it at some point, and yeah, would like to read this around then. I've been interested in that time period all the more ever since I saw Mary and George, the show with Julianne Moore, which was just fantastic. And for some reason, even though I love the Tudor period so much, I think it's like my second favourite period in history, I've never thought about reading queer stories set at the time. I don't think I actually thought there were any. I mean, I'm nearly 43. That idea should have hit home at some point, but didn't. Anyway, then on to a selection of books, one of which I said, oh yes please, when I was emailed if I would like it, and then the other three have all arrived unsolicited but link into it, because that first book is Hunchback by Seiyuu Ichikawa, translated by Polly Barton. This is on the long list for the International Booker Prize. I didn't know that at the time that it was that I got the email saying would I like a copy, but this being an Own Voices story around disability really intrigued me. I have read this. I'll be talking about this next Sunday when I do my February wrap up, and I thought this was utterly brilliant. It's short and sharp and very uncomfortable, very funny, very confronting, all the things, but yeah, highly recommend, but more on that in due course. Then we have Heart Lamp, Selected Stories by Banu Mushtaq, which is translated by, let's see what it says. They really should. I think if they're up for the International Booker, it should say it on the cover. This is translated by Deepa Bashati. And there's something about the title Heart Lamp that I just really love. I don't know what exactly, but yeah, Under the Stories very kindly sent me this one. I think they've got another book. Is it The Book of Disappearance? Which is a Palestinian novel that I'm really keen to get my mitts on. I think, not that anybody's specifically asked, and because it's not really my area of expertise usually, but I think this year's, and it's not just because Anton the Hun-Her is one of the judges, but I do think this year's long list is really strong, and I will be doing the short list, and I'm going to see if Mum wants to do our read-along vlogs where we read the International Booker shortlist this year. So yeah, we'll see what she says. And last but not least of those books, although this is volume 1 and volume 2, we have On the Calculation of Volume by Soldier Ball, and this is translated by, see, it should be on the cover. It's translated from the Danish by Barbara J. Havland. I don't know anything about this. This came as a complete surprise from Faber along with this. So yeah, I have volume 1 and volume 2. And because, like I said, I do really like that long list, I think I'll be checking them out regardless. So yeah, very excited for those. Then on to more books that either I was asked if I would like a copy and said yes, or came randomly. The first I was asked a copy of, and was, frankly, if you could snatch someone's hand off via email, I would have with this. This is I Hear You by Paul McVeigh. I absolutely loved Paul's debut novel, The Good Son. I thought it was incredible. It's a book about a young boy coming of age and coming to terms with all sorts of things in his life during the Troubles, and I thought it was phenomenal. This is a series of short stories which have been read on BBC Radio 4, and I'm just super duper excited. I'm just super duper excited about it. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I want to get to this one very soon, although my reading is going to be very much Women's Prize longlist based in the not too distant future, if it hasn't already started. But yeah, then we have a UK edition of Dylan Hardcastle's A Language of Limbs, which is another book that I bought imported from Australia last year. I need to get better, not just that I've said that I'm going to stop buying hardbacks unless I'm determined that I'm going to read them very imminently. And by that I mean like within 2 or 3 months, maybe 2 months. Maybe I should be a bit tighter with myself. Maybe I shouldn't, because buying books is a joy and I shouldn't make it a chore. But, or not a chore, but a negative, that's what I mean. But anyway, I should, with books that I have imported, definitely get to them sooner rather than later. But I didn't know this was going to be coming out. It's been picked up by the folk at Verve Books and they asked if I would like a UK edition of it, and I said yes please, because the raves about this from Australia have been incredible. I believe it's about a lesbian couple that we follow from the 1970s onwards, and yeah, I think it's quite tough to read at parts, but also meant to be absolutely beautiful too. They also very kindly sent me a copy of Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth, which was up for the Neros in 2023 and the British Book Awards. And for some reason I'd missed this, and they asked me if there were like 3 or 4 books I would like from them, and funnily enough, I think 3, yes, it's 4. 3 of them I'd already bought. So it seems like Verve Books do publish, especially because I already had this on my shelves, books that I'm going to be really into. So I've literally no idea what this is about, which is probably very infuriating for you, but I don't want to read the blurb because I don't tend to like blurbs. But the publicist there was like, you will like it. So I was like, okay then. And then I was thrilled to get an email saying, would I like a copy of this? Because this is one of my most anticipated books of the year. In fact, I should have held it up sooner. How naughty of me. But this is The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. Again, don't know anything about this other than I have loved Ocean's previous, well, both his previous novel and really enjoyed his second poetry collection. I haven't read his first actually, and I really, really should, but I don't know anything about what this is going to be like other than I know it will be stunningly written, probably make me cry quite a lot, and yeah, I'm ready for it, although like I said, I won't be reading anything that isn't Women's Prize Limited for a bit. Then we have a book that's coming out on, and I should say, this is coming out in May. Did I say that? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know, but I'm telling you now. Then we have another book that's coming out in May, and this is Palm Meridian by Grace Flahive, and I think this is genius. So it's sent like an invite to a party. It says, welcome to Palm Meridian, rowdy, horny, turbulent, triumphant. And this is set in the not too distant future, I don't think, at a queer retirement home, and stuff is going on at sort of not the end of the world exactly, but definitely in a very dystopic world, and that just really, really intrigues me. I also love the fact that this comes with a bookmark that you can tear off as you read. I just think they've done such a good job on it. I mean, it won't look anything like this at the end. I think it'll look like that maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, this may be one, if a finished edition turns up, I'll be showing you at the beginning of another future video in the not too distant future, but I'm really, really, really excited for this one. I think that sounds great. Then we have a book, and I do tend to do these in size order, so this is the book that I'm most excited about from the next size of books, if we're getting very specific. I could just say nothing and just carry on regardless, because it doesn't really matter the ins and outs, just get to what the book is. But I am super duper excited for this, and when Mum comes to visit next week, she's coming on the 13th, because we're going to see Ferdia Lennon in Conversation at West Kirby Bookshop. I'm going to have to hide this from her unless she's been sent one, because I know that she will possibly pilfer this from my house. This is Cursed Daughters by Ian Kin Braithwaite, and this is her second novel after My Sister the Serial Killer, which I really, really enjoyed. My mum loved like on another level. I thought it was brilliant. I don't know anything about this. On the back it just says, curses are like hearts, some are more easily broken than others, and it's coming out in September. And yeah, very, 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 very excited for that one. As I am Perspectives by Lauren Benet, which I feel like I maybe did show. No, I can't have. I think I was planning on doing every Sunday stories or like a reel on Instagram where I talked about what had been sent the week before, and I've got out of the habit of that. But now it's March, I want to try and make new habits, although it's Sunday the 2nd of March, so I'm filming this and the day it goes live, and I haven't done that. But anyway, I really loved Lauren Benet's, some people described it as a novel, some people said it was non-fiction, some people said it was a mixture of the two. H. I don't tend to like books set in the Second World War because I studied so much at school, and got kind of, it was a lot. However, I thought that was incredible. This is something very different. This is a murder mystery set in Florence, I want to say, or is it Firenze? Florence, in the 1500s. Now, I don't tend to love books about art. I believe there is art in here, but I'm going to give this a whirl at some point anyway. That hot pink is here to stay in publishing, isn't it? It has not gone anywhere. And then we have penultimate of the lovely surprises that I got. Is it? Yes. No, it's not, because there's another surprise. Anyway, then we have another book that I was thrilled to get, and that is the 20th anniversary edition of Kate Moss's Labyrinth. And I'm hoping to go and see Kate Moss's one-woman show in the next few weeks that centres around Labyrinth. I've meant to read this for ages. I have all of the books in... Now, is it a trilogy or are there 4 of them? But I've got all the books in this series, and I loved her last or latest series. So yeah, I'm thrilled that I've got this to go back to. And I should mention that that came with, very excitingly, from Baked by Steph, a biscuit with the cover on it. And how I've managed to not eat that in the time that that book has arrived, I don't know. It's been very tempting. And on that note, a penultimate book that came as a surprise came in this fabulous teal, well, Fortnum & Mason green or teal box, because it came with Fortnum & Mason goodies, and that is The Art of a Lie by Laura Shepherd Robinson. And this says, a widow, a handsome stranger, a murderer, and a novelist turned detective. Which of them has mastered the art of a lie? Can you uncover the truth? The stunning new novel from the superstar of historical crime fiction, Laura Shepherd Robinson. I have not read enough historical crime fiction. I love historical fiction. I really like crime fiction. I don't read either of them as much as I would like to, and I want to address that in the weeks and months to come of 2025, because they're 2 genres that I used to like devour, and I've been talking about how I really want to head back to more of the stuff that I used to love a lot, to sort of work out where I am as a reader, or who I am as a reader now. So that combo should work wonderfully. And I have got another of Laura's books on my shelves, because I've meant to read them for ages. I will just show you this, because I think it is really cute. It came with a little, basically a little handbag, frankly, or man bag in my case, with truffles in, Earl Grey truffles. So yeah, I mean, what a way to my heart. Certainly worked. Although again, have managed to not eat these, I do not know. So that was fabulous. I'm all for more books with boxes of chocolates and that coming, just saying. But last but not least of the books that came as a surprise is, and I'm so excited about this, especially because it's come in an exclusive proof bind-up. This is Somadina by Akwaeke Emeze, who's one of my absolute favourite writers, and this is their latest YA novel. I don't think it's like the previous 2 were sort of in... I think one was a prequel to the other. I've held off reading. I've read Pet. What's the one that I've not read? Bitter. I've not read Bitter because I was waiting for when there would be another Akwaeke book, and now there is. But I think I'm going to head to this before I head to Bitter. So very, very, very excited for that one. Now, we're still on books by publishers, but here are the books that I asked copies of from them, and very kindly they all said yes. So first up we have That Dark Spring by Susanna Stapleton. Now, I loved Susanna Stapleton's debut non-fiction book. I don't often say I love non-fiction, but I really, really loved The Adventures of Maud West, Lady Detective. I thought it was fantastic. And Susanna has this way of writing so wryly and warmly that you were finding out about this lady detective, but also you felt like you were the Watson to Susanna's Holmes as she was discovering more about her. This is a true story of death and desire in 1920s Provence, and I'm just hoping it's going to be as fantastic as Susanna's previous book. This is out in April. I've just realised I haven't said when some of these are out. Whoopsie. I think the 20th edition of Kate Moss's is out now, and then this is out, I think, in May. I think it's out in May. It doesn't say on it, but yeah. Then, as for some poetry, which is, again, an unusual thing, asking for non-fiction poetry. Who am I? But I absolutely loved this poet's previous or debut collection, I think it was actually. This is Richard Scott's That Broke into Shining Crystals, and I thought his collection, Soho, was incredible. Don't know much about this one. Again, when it's an author that I really, really love, I don't like to know too much about whatever their next book is or the book of theirs that I'm going to read next. But I'll be reading this very, very soon. And yeah, we're really, really looking forward to it. How many times can I say I'm really, really looking forward to it? Then this next book I asked for because I was just seeing so many people reading it and thinking it was really, really brilliant. And I thought, well, maybe it's going to be on the International Booker Prize. It wasn't, but it's Strange Pictures, by Uketsu, which is translated by Jim Ron from the Japanese. And it says the chilling Japanese mystery sensation. Now, I heard Jen of Bookmark on the Wall on Instagram saying that this actually creeps her out quite a lot, and that intrigued me. And also the fact that it's multimedia, so there's pictures and things in here, and that has got me all the more intrigued too. I don't know is it like, oh yeah, Uketsu is Uketsu is an enigmatic YouTuber and author specialising in horror and mystery who has exploded into the literary scene in Japan. He only ever appears online wearing a mask and speaking through a voice changer. I mean, that's quite terrifying in itself, isn't it? It's giving sort of Kruger vibes. But yeah, very excited for this. Would like to get to that in due course. Sorry, I had to let a cat out. I also realised it's taking me much longer than I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to be a little bit swifter. Then we have Cloudless, which in fact, I should have included this in the previous lot because this I got an email about and then said, yes, please, I would like a copy of it, so I didn't ask for this one specifically. That said, I had meant to when I first saw it on Instagram and saw that it was set in Llandudno in North Wales, which is a place that I absolutely adore. And it's about a family, it's set in 2004, and it's about a family who are waiting their son to return from Iraq. And I think it's what happens from his return, but also what's been going on while he's been away and secrets and all those kind of things. And did I say it's Cloudless by Rupert Duster? If I didn't, I have now. Oh, I've just noticed it's got a quote on the front by Paul McVeigh, who I mentioned earlier. So yeah, really, 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 really keen to get to that one in due course. Then the next ones are all ones that I asked for because very, very excited about. Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson, particularly because I absolutely loved Black Cake when I read it. I got to that book quite late on after people have been really, really talking about it, so I wanted to be early with this one. But yeah, I have no idea what this is about. I've just literally got excited at the fact that Charmaine had a new book, and so I asked for it, and it's here, and I'll get to it in due course. I feel like I'm saying get to it in due course a lot. After this, every time I say in due course, have a sweet treat or something. Then we have The Lamb by Lucy Rose, and this, I won't lie, I asked for because the buzz had been so strong, and I was like, oh, this is sounding really, really intriguing, especially when I picked up a copy in West Kirby Books where Dan had been raving about it, actually, I think. Or was it Jordan had been raving? Or maybe they both had. Anyway, Jan or Jordan or both. Jan or Jordan? Jan or Jordan. Dan or Jordan or both of them had raving about it. And when I read the opening, it is quite intense and involves fingers and plugs. And from what I gather, it's a story about cannibalism with a queer edge. So there we go. That was like, okay. And so many people have said that's quite a difficult book to read, but also you can't stop yourself from reading it. Then I asked for a copy of Mothers and Sons by Adam Hazlitt. Now this, when I read the blurb of it, and Adam Hazlitt is an author I've meant to read. I think he wrote Imagine Me Gone, which I might have on the shelves, which I've been meaning to get to for ages. But books about mothers and sons, I don't feel like I've read enough of. I don't feel like there are that many out there. It always, to me, feels like books are about fathers and daughters or mother and daughters, but mothers and sons, or fathers and sons, but less so mothers and sons. Obviously, I have a very close relationship with my mother. We've been through tempestuous times, let's not pretend, but we have a very close relationship now. And this is about a mother and son who don't speak. And he is I believe, a lawyer dealing with, he's an asylum lawyer in New York. And that made me think of Determination, which I read last year by Tausif Khan. I thought was fantastic. And it made me very angry though, but like in the best way, because I was just, I think some books are meant to make you angry and should make you angry and shake you up about things. And I'm hoping that this is kind of going to do the same, even though I don't know how good it is to be that angry all the time, but definitely I think anger can be quite a powerful emotion to harness and do other stuff with. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping this book will do. I don't think I explained that very well, but there we go. Then I did mention in my Women's Prize predictions video that I was very, very excited for this book and that it was on its way, and it has arrived because it's here in my hand. It's Even Beyond Death by Fiona Melrose, and this just sounds so good. I was saying I love historical fiction. I don't read it as much as I would like to. This is the prime example of a historical novel that I'm so excited for. This is set in, let me get this right, the 1650s, and we meet Marquis Jehan Baudelaire, Avignon, and is it Jehan Baudelaire, Avignon? Yes, he's double-barreled, very posh, and he's being sent out to find a wife. However, he meets a valet who he takes much more interest in, and this has been described, and I think this is a brilliant pitch, and I need to get better at just doing really, really short, sharp pitches like this, because why do I need to have told you all of the stuff that I'm winging on about now if simply all I said was, this is meant to be Fleabag meets Dangerous Liaisons, but queer. And I think that's going to be amazing. So very excited for that. Then I asked the lovely folk at Fourth Estate for 2 books. They also sent me another 2 books they thought I would love. So I thought I'd do a sandwich of one of the ones I asked for, the 2 books, and they sent on top, and the other book that I asked for. The first one I asked for was A Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fito. I mean, considering the Victorian era is my favourite period in history, the title, the cover, the fact that this is going to be, I'm hoping, about a really unhinged main character. Oh, it sounds great. I haven't read Mrs. March, I have to admit, so I feel a bit naughty that I asked for this one. I know Jen Campbell absolutely loved Mrs. March, and I have meant to read it since I got it, but I've just seen some illustrations in here, which makes me very excited. But yeah, I'm super duper keen for this, so I asked them kindly, they sent me that, along with Happiness Forever by Adelaide Faith. What an incredible cover. I know nothing about this at all. Introducing the hilarious and utterly original debut novel by Adelaide Faith, following a woman trying to make sense of her life and herself as she falls in love with her therapist. That sounds great. Maybe with the books that I get or have got or got last month, and maybe if I get any more this month where the publisher is like, you're going to really, really love this, I should do a video testing that out, because I think that could be quite interesting. But that's one of them. The other one being Sunburn that I mentioned earlier. And then we also have Softcore by Brittany Newell. And it says, at the end of the day, obsession was not so different from love. They both gave boning to our flouncy lives. They both gave boning to our flouncy. They were twins in a porno. Why settle for one when you could have both? Meet Ruthie Miss Sunday, baby. Oh, sounds like it's going to be absolute. Oh my goodness. And then I just had a flick through and seen the first part of the book is called Simon Says. So, we'll get into that. The last book that they sent me, which I asked for, but also the last book from publishers before I then whiz through the books that I bought for myself, is The Persians by Sanam Malouji. And this I wanted to read, partly because I think the cover is striking, which had drawn me to it when I saw it in West Kirby Bookshop again. The other thing was that Sarah Winman said it was glorious. And if Sarah Winman loves a book, I feel like I'm going to love it, because I love Sarah Winman's books and her so much. So yeah, really intrigued. I think it's about 4 different women in one particular family in Iran. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for this one and want to get to that one in due course. I said it. Now onto books that I bought myself. So the first of these I picked up because Ben of Ben Reads Good, who I think is a lovely, lovely young man, and who I listen to when he either mentions books that I've not heard of or raves about books, or both. And he had mentioned in his Women's Prize predictions, Gloss by Kira Wilder. And what I had not done is, well, firstly, I thought the blurb of it sounded incredible, but what I hadn't done is in my mind associate the fact that Kira is one of my patrons. And so as soon as I twigged that, I was like, well, I have to get a copy of it. And guess where it was? In West Kirby Books. And so I did. And so I will definitely head to it. I haven't got the blurb here, so I'm going to link Ben's Women's Prize prediction video down below so that you can find out from him what he thought it was about, which made me want to read it, and then also made me do it. Oh my goodness, I've just done a twig, so there we are, that we have that. And then also at West Kirby Bookshop, this video is not sponsored by, I nearly said Jan and Jordan again. This isn't sponsored by West Kirby Bookshop or Jordan and Dan. It's just my nearest bookshop, and I love it very, very much. I picked up Slum Boy by Joanna Diaz, which I'd had a conversation with someone about on Instagram, not knowing that the paperback had come out. And I was like, oh, I can't justify buying the hardback. I'm trying really hard not to buy hardbacks unless I'm sure, as I said earlier, that, you know, I'm going to read them pretty much imminently. And then spotted it literally mere days later. That to me felt like fate. So I picked it up, and here it is. Yeah, I want to head to that in due course. Then we have Change by Edouard Louis, whose debut I absolutely loved. I've got a few of his on the shelf, so really I should have registered those first. So I've broken that rule of don't buy a new book by an author that you've not read the maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that you might already have on your shelf, Simon. But I couldn't resist that cover, let's not lie. And also, having read Lie With Me by Philip Besson, I have a feeling I'm about, and actually also talking about Sleeping Children, which was way back at the beginning of this video, like how many years ago that was. But I've got a feeling that queer French translated fiction is going to be something that I have a bit of a moment with this year in the coming months. And so, yes, I got this one. And I think this is a mixture of sort of fiction and non-fiction again. And I think that's what he does quite a bit with his writing. It's sort of auto-fiction-ish. So, yeah. Really, really want to get to this one. And yeah, just think that cover is so stunning. There's me, justifying. This next book, I also wanted to get when it came out in hardback, but it's like, no, you need to wait for the paperback, and it has not long come out, and I think this is a great cover. This is Good Lord, an email by Ella Frears, and as I just mentioned, it's a whole novel that's an email that's sort of kind of like poetry a bit, and I believe it's literally an email from a someone renting to their landlord, and looks at all the issues around that. So yeah, I think this is going to be an absolute corker. I mentioned Verso Books, sorry, not Verso Books, it was Verve Books I was talking about, and how they got in touch about A Language of Limbs and said, oh, would you like any of these? And I'd already got a few. One of them that I'd already got was A Kind of Madness by Uchi Okonkwo, and this is a short story collection. I think it is set in Nigeria. Yeah. Across 10 evocative stories, A Kind of Madness dips in and out of the lives of Nigerians, unravelling the tensions between mothers and daughters, husbands and wives, best friends, siblings, and more. And I do really, really love fiction from Nigeria, and so yeah, this sounded like it was my kind of thing when I saw it. Then I picked this up when I was in Bradford, and I was with my friend Tess, and we both got a copy of this, and we might do this as a little in real life buddy read. It's another book actually that I meant to get in hardback and was really, really keen on, and then actually, unlike the others, sort of forgot about, because there's quite a lot of hype about it and then it went quiet, but I really was keen to read, hence why it's now here in my hands. This is Green Dot by Madeline Gray, and this is about a woman who I think starts an affair with a man at work, and so looks at the complications of that, but also she generally has had relationships with women before that, so again throws a different whole dynamic into the mix and sounds great. After having loved my first Annie Ernaux back in January, back in the year that was January, all those many moons ago, although like I said, it's gone super duper fast and suddenly we're in March. But after loving that, the book that was mentioned in I Remain in Darkness Annie mentions the book that Annie mentions of her own in her book I Remain in Darkness, which was the first Annie Ernaux that I've read, and I loved it, was A Man's Place. Wow, that was convoluted, sorry. And so I decided that was going to be my next one, even though I have another of hers somewhere up here on the shelves. But yeah, it just seemed like a sign that she mentioned that in a book that I love so much. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to read that next. I should say it's translated from French by Tanya Leslie. And then we have 2 books that are part of a series, which I, first of all, was intrigued by because one of the commissioners of this series, or curators of this series, is Brandon Taylor, and I have read and enjoyed his work. The second thing was that this was a book by an author that I really, really like, who you don't, she's a classic. Shall I just get to it? I feel like I'm really, really waffling on. But yeah, this is a book by an author who I really, really enjoy, and I have not read all of the books that I knew were out there, but this is one that I hadn't heard of. Wow, really, really rusty. Honestly, you don't do a video for like 2 weeks and suddenly you can barely speak on camera. The book is Twilight by, no it's not, it's Twilight Sleep, sorry, by Edith Wharton. And like I said, this is from Smith & Taylor, and Brandon Taylor is the Taylor in Smith & Taylor. And I hadn't heard of this Edith Wharton. I love her writing, or I've loved the books of hers that I have read. And so I was like, right, I'm going to get my mitts on it. And so I have. And I also got, and this would be a perfect pick if you're looking for your March Savage Reading Challenge prompt book. This is The Odd Woman by George Gissing, and I do have a copy of this already, to be fair, but I couldn't resist it because I love spoons. I don't think I've mentioned often in life, and indeed maybe not at all on this channel, but I do. I really, really love spoons. Out of all the cutlery in the drawer, it's the spoons that I'm most in love with. Anyway. And so the prompt for March for the Savage Reading Challenge is to find a book with kitchen utensils on the cover. This isn't going to be the one that I read, but it would make a good pick. And actually I need to do something on Instagram reminding people to do that, although I haven't shared which one I read for February, which is a book with a water word in the title, and I read Long Bright River by Liz Moore, and I thought it was brilliant. But again, I'll be talking about that next week. This would have been good actually for that prompt too, because this is The Edge of Water, although I decided that I wasn't going to I wasn't going to read a book that had the word water in the title. That felt like a cheat. But anyway, this is The Edge of Water by Olufunke Grace Bankole, and this is now, is this short stories or is this a novel? I think it is a novel, sorry, and it's told, yeah, it's a novel told in alternating voices. Is that a prompt for the Savage Reading Challenge? I feel like it might be, but I just saw lots and lots of raves about this, so I got this imported through Blackwell's, and it just sounded incredible, and people were raving about it, and the cover was stunning, and Nigerian fiction, and so, whoopsie, I ordered that, I should say, from Blackwell's with those two, so that's why, yeah, it wasn't completely random. And then some more poetry, but one that I ordered, not asked for. We have Self-Portrait with Family by Ammon Hyder, and this is a queer collection, and having felt quite alienated from poetry for quite a long time, I have found that queer poetry sort of chimes with me the most, and so this is one that I'm very, very excited for. And again, I think I saw randomly on Instagram, went and looked at, I mean, Instagram is lethal on my bank balance. Lots of you say that I'm lethal on yours. It works both ways, because I see loads of stuff on socials and go, oh, I need to get my mitts on that, and then do. And then last but not least, I picked up No and Other Love Stories by Kirsty Logan. Short stories that are quite a different take on love, I think. And it was heading to Valentine's Day, and it just seemed perfect because Valentine's Day has been and gone, and I still haven't read this, but I would like to at some point. There we go, we got to the end. I don't know how long this video is. It could be an absolute mad long one. I need to get much, I don't know, I feel like I take as long talking about books that I haven't read as I do talking about books that I have read, and probably I should take longer with books that I have read in wrap-ups and shorten down my hauls in terms of like, I got this because blah, blah, rather than give you like way loads of information. Or maybe I don't give you as much information as I think I do. Maybe I just go off on too many tangents. Maybe I'm just a little bit rusty. But on that note, I know I haven't done a video for a little while. I am very much sort of taking after having said, oh, I'm going to do a vlog every week and blah, 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 I just had a phase where I wasn't in the mood to vlog and I'd filmed stuff and I wasn't quite happy with the vlog that I'd made. So I was just like, no, I'm just going to not share that and then also just not film for a bit. And I think filming ad hoc and when you're in the mood is much better. And so, yeah, I'm going to try to stick with doing 2 videos a week. We'll see. I know you're definitely getting a video on Tuesday because at 8:10 on Tuesday morning, I will be sharing with you the 16 books that have been or would have been longlisted for the Women's Prize. I can see them now. I'm not saying anything more than that. But yeah, well, I will say I get quite overwhelmed in that video. So, which could be underwhelming to watch, but I was overwhelmed filming it. But yeah, so that will be my next video. And then I am planning on reading the long list and vlogging that experience. Maybe I've already started, I can't say. But yeah, so videos will be definitely occurring, but it might just be sometimes you get like quite a few, then it might be more sporadic. It'll be more sporadic, more ad hoc. I don't know why I'm saying this either, actually. I watched Mercedes' recent video and I did think, actually, yeah, just filming when you're in the mood and only putting out stuff that you feel like you really want to put out. And I'm questioning that with this video because it feels like it's been way too long and I've just been all over the place. But yeah, that I think is the plan. But at the same time, it being too long and all over the place is just how it can sounds like a euphemism. I didn't even mean it to then. But I do think, yeah, I'm overthinking. I think I'm overthinking. I know I'm overthinking. And now I'm going to go. But thank you for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these. If you loved them, great. If you didn't, actually, I just said let me know if you've read any of these. And I was about to say, but if you didn't like them, don't tell me that now, basically. So yeah, if you've read them and you love them, let me know that. If you've read them and you haven't loved them, don't let me know that right now because I'm super, super excited about all of them. I don't know when I'm going to get to them, but I'm super, super excited about them. And when I do get to them, then, and I've read them and talked to you about that, then you can go to town with whether you hated what I loved or loved what I loved or hated what I hated too or whatever. But for now, very excited about those. So if you didn't like them, don't rain on my parade. But yeah, I hope you're all doing super duper well. I hope you're reading something lovely. Let me know the most recent books that you bought or borrowed or were loaned or anything like that. And I'll be back on Tuesday to chat to you about the Women's Prize for Fiction Longlist 2025, the 30th year. Very exciting. I can't wait for us to have a chat about that. I'll be on a long train journey actually, so I'll be able to chat away in the comments there too. But let's keep chatting in the comments below this video. And I'm really going to go now. I hope you're all doing super duper well. Thanks for watching. Let's keep chatting in the comments down below. I think I just said that. And I will see you in another video very, very soon. Well, yes, it will be soon actually. I was about to think, oh God, am I promising something I can't keep to? It's on Tuesday. I filmed it already. It's scheduled. Right. Bye.